Who's been on their membership site to have a look at all the new modules that I've put up there? Has anyone been on yet? No? That's cool. No problems. Go, guys, after this call, go into the membership site. There's a section called Augment, which is going to talk about the next step in the process, things like supplementation, things like how we can start managing our health through different health tools, and also social support and how we can utilize social support to make sure that we stay on track with our goals. There's lots of discussions in there around things like gratitude journaling, things like yoga, and how they can actually affect us in the long term in terms of our mindset towards the process. But like I said, today we're going to talk all about different health markers and health tools that we can use. I'm going to show you my one, the first one that I use, and I take this everywhere. It's the Omron. I think it's called the BP70 or something like that. But it's a really cool bit of kit. It's just a cuff. You place it around your arm, just at the top. Make sure that the sensor's pointing in towards you. Ideally, you do this first thing in the morning it takes like 30 seconds, and it will give you an instant reading. So that's on there now. It will give me a reading as to what my blood pressure is. Any of you guys, I know Rupinder, you're not going to be able to do this, but any of you guys know what the actual blood pressure should be for a healthy individual? If you think you know, just put your hands up or just come out of mute. Love to hear from you, man. I can see a thinking face there, bro. No? So, okay, so ordinarily what the NHS say is 120/80 is the ideal blood pressure, which, you know, now research has moved on a little bit. And the thing is with the NHS is they always are a little bit behind because it takes a while for them to filter through new information. Usually it takes about 10 years or something for it to actually become the practice norm within the NHS. But recent studies have shown that 115/75 is the actual optimal blood pressure range. Any of you guys, like, again, Rupinder, come out of mute if this applies to you. But any of you guys checked your blood pressure recently?
I actually have.
Rupinder, what was it, man?
It was 140/80.
Okay. And what setting was your blood pressure taken in?
In my own clinic, doing it myself.
Do you do this often? Do you check it?
Check it about once every 2 months, just to make sure it's all good.
Okay. And when you saw the what did you say, 140/80? When you saw that, what were your thoughts?
It's pretty okay.
It's quite high.
I thought it was pretty okay.
Yeah, again, old readings would say, yeah, that's probably okay. But the more recent studies, I can put up a link to the most recent study on this, but that is quite high. That's almost pre-hypertension. So that would be something that I want you to work on. But it's something that you check frequently, check almost daily. Again, obviously the clinic that you go to, that's at work, right?
Yes, my own clinic.
So
we've got a blood pressure monitor.
Do you have one that you can take home and actually do first thing in the morning?
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
The thing is, with all health markers, or most of the tools that we're going to look at, your ideal setting to actually take them is when you're rested or your most rested state. So pretty much when you wake up in the morning to get an ideal understanding as to what your blood pressure is. Through the day, obviously, with caffeine intake, with stress, with various incidents that might happen on the way to work, our health variables might change quite dramatically. But if we can take it first thing in the morning when you're in a really relaxed state, that would be ideal, man.
I must say that was after caffeine.
Yeah, that could easily skew the readings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 100%. If you can potentially start looking into it in your own time when you first wake up. Again, sure. If you wake up with an alarm, then that's going to give you a bit of a stressor to start with straight away. But if you wake up naturally, like I recommend most people should be waking up naturally. Again, if you've got a messed up body, body clock and you're all over the place with your sleep, that's not going to really work. But if you kind of wake up to an alarm, just be aware that you might have to do like a 3-minute headspace just to get yourself back into a calm state before you take these readings. There's a few more that we'll go through as well. So it's cool that you're monitoring it, bro, but I'd say just try and bring that into your morning routine if possible.
Sure.
Yeah, awesome, man. Good stuff. So with blood pressure, again, the understanding behind blood pressure, like, why do you think I monitor blood pressure so closely? And that goes to everyone. Is it frozen or is it just... Can you hear me?
Yep.
So,
yep.
Was somebody about to answer that question?
I said, is it because of cardiovascular fitness?
Yeah, essentially, it's cardiovascular fitness. Anybody want to expand on that?
I think, could there be possible links to like other underlying issues? For example, again, if it was every now and again you've got a high kind of blood pressure reading, that's obviously it's an anomaly. But if it was every day, for example, how you're saying measure it every day, if it was that same amount over a sustained period of time, then naturally there's something else that's clearly an issue there, and obviously that should be looked at.
Yeah, 100% agree with that, man. So there's loads of different causes for high blood pressure. A lot of people put it down to diet. So again, they talk about, you shouldn't have too much sodium in your diet and this, that, and the other. But one of the main causes of high blood pressure is sustained stress. And sustained stress, one of the things, I don't know if you remember this, but we talked about it a couple of weeks ago in one of the calls, where the body actually releases sodium during high stress to increase blood pressure, which then is in turn going to be used for you to get away from the stressor, which in the olden days used to be a bloody massive animal trying to attack you and eat you. Whereas these days, these stressors are a little bit more frequent, and they're pretty much everywhere we look. This light being directly in my eyes is a stressor. Staring at this computer screen, that's a stressor. Walking down the street and, people driving around at too high a speed, that's a stressor for me. So, all these things that we've got going on now, they're very abundant. So that's another reason that we see our blood pressure go up so dramatically and stay high as well. Because that's the problem. It's not that we have short bursts of stress and then the blood pressure goes back to normal. Most of us are under sustained periods of stress for like 9, 10, maybe 11 hours a day. And then we try and unwind, go to sleep, and then we go straight back into that routine, which is obviously pretty terrible long term. Again, we know all the other physiological effects of stress, but blood pressure itself, what that's causing is increased kind of increased kind of hypertrophy around the left ventricle, which actually starts to close up the cavity around your chest, around your heart. And again, if we're not balancing that out with the right type of activity and the right type of diet, and the right type of lifestyle factors, then that's just an issue that gets worse and worse and worse over time. One of the guys that, unfortunately, it wasn't available tonight to come into the call, but I might bring him on soon, his name's Amit. He's in the Facebook group. So if any of you guys want to hit him up, that'd be awesome. But his blood pressure for such a long period of time, it's been managed through medication. So goes to the doctors, gets given medication, goes back 3 months later, they say, you know what, here's a little bit more. And happens again. So every time he has a review, they've upped his medication to the point now where they said to him, look, there's no more we can do for you. You can't take any more. It looks like you're going to be on this level, this dose for the rest of your life. So I think it must have been two months ago now. We've been working on his lifestyle, working on his activity, making sure he's training the right style for him to improve his health markers. And it's improved dramatically. It's still not where I want it to be. But, we're talking about 135 over, I think it was 80 now. Whereas before we were looking at his first reading was like through the roof. I think it was like 185 over something, which is clearly not great. In fact, if I ever saw somebody at that level and they weren't training at the time, we hadn't put them on like a leg press at that particular time, I'd probably send them to doctors if I saw what I saw with him. But obviously he was being managed through medication. He's actually got another review coming up with the doctors, but it'll be interesting to see what they say, because obviously his health markers have improved dramatically. But the focus of Amit was, we improved his lifestyle because we just got him walking more. We got him thinking about his health a little bit more. We got him more focused with the reason why he wanted to start this. Because initially, I'm sure many of you have been through this before, you will just want quick results initially. You want to see that 12-week transformation. You see this shit all over Instagram and you're like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Not realizing that 12-week transformation, 24 weeks later, he's back to where he started from, if not worse. So, always remember that you've got to have context when you see these 12-week transformations. Amit came to me asking me to do a 12-week transformation. I said to him, it's going to take 12 months to sort him out. And he realized that when I started to talk about his health and understanding the importance of actually tracking this sort of stuff. Like, how many guys do you know that actually track this stuff? No, this is the shit that I track this every single morning. It takes me 4 minutes, and within 4 minutes, I get 6 health markers that tell me whether I'm in a good place, whether I need to adapt anything, and it gives me a baseline to work from. So I know when I'm under intense stress that I can't perform maximally. I can't go into the gym and expect myself to improve upon a 6 to 8 rep max lift on like a hack squat, for example. So within that time, I know that I'm going through a period of stress because I see that this has shot up. So my resting blood pressure is increased. I see that my resting blood glucose, this is another real simple tip that you can buy this from Amazon. It costs like 10, 15 quid. You buy yourself that. You've got yourself test strips and a little needle pen. Do that every single morning. And again, that gives me a variable to work from. So if I see that every single morning is anything above like 5, even 5.2, 5.5, when I start to see that data and it correlates with my blood pressure, I adapt my diet, I adapt my style of training, and I start to investigate why is my blood glucose gone up when it's normally between 4.2 and 4.6. But I know that information about myself because I've been tracking it for a sustained period of time. If you don't measure anything, you've got nothing to manage. It's literally just taking a potluck, a stab in the dark, hoping that you're going to get this shit right. The other thing that I do, and again, it cost me 50 quid, but this could be a life-saving device, this polar heart strap monitor. Again, off Amazon, put that around my chest every morning, download an app called HRV Elite. I know I'm rushing through this, but all of this content is within the membership site. So don't think, you need to remember all this stuff right now. Everything is in the membership site. So if you head over to the last section, there's loads of resources in there as well where you can actually, I think I'll put the links in there as well. So you can actually buy from the links that are provided. So you're not searching around for it too much. But again, that will give me a HRV reading. So HRV will then tell me how much time is between the beats of my heart. So the lower the number, the lower the heart rate variability, the more it's being controlled by the autonomic nervous system. So the more sympathetic I am. So when you see a higher heart rate variability, so you're looking to achieve a heart rate variability of anything from 75 and above, that's when you know that you're actually in a more stress-free environment. So that's the kind of stuff that really does show you that you're recovering well, that you're sleeping well, that the shit that's been on your mind for the past 2 weeks has cleared and you've passed and you've come to a solution along the way. So again, very important, because then if I see my HRV start to crash and start to go lower than like 50, for example, if I see that data, then what do you think I do? If I see that my HRV has gone below 50, what do you reckon? What would you...
Naturally, adjust your training, adjust your daily routine, adjust whatever you're doing for that period of time, and then again make sure you see a result.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing you mentioned, how many people do we know that do that? Probably say the only people I know that do that are friends, or I'd probably say also like associates, but people that I'm aware of that are in a kind of fitness or keep into it. I think everyone else, and it's not more fair enough if you're doing that, but I think everyone else probably thinks, going to that level of detail.
Yeah.
Is that too much for me? Too much detail for me?
Yeah.
I think it's one of those. It's probably not enough emphasis on the importance of it.
Yeah.
I think people probably think, oh, no, only. I think a lot of people, they'll carry on doing what they're doing just for the sake of it. Like, they'll go gym, but they won't look into, okay, if they've not made, okay, let's say just gains or any progression in the gym, they won't look into why they're not doing that.
Yeah.
They'll just look for obviously these quick fixes in, oh, let's do a 12-week plan here, let's do a 4-week plan here, and they won't look into it. Whereas I think if they a little bit of concentration, a little bit of kind of, if they're a bit more selective in what they do, naturally you see a response from it.
Yeah. Well, agreed, Matt. I think people only look into this sort of stuff when it's too late. So most people are reactive. When I'm telling everybody to come to this process and sit there and don't talk to me about what you want to achieve. Talk to me about why you want to achieve what you want to achieve. So when I first said that, the first video that I launched within this membership site, I know for a fact that most of the people that looked at that were like, what the fuck is this? Like, I just want to achieve this goal and I've got 12 weeks to do it, or I've got this set time to do it. Most people were looking at that thinking, why is he talking to me about my purpose? And why is he talking to me about perspective? Like, I'm here to achieve a goal. But again, this sort of stuff, heart rate monitors, blood pressure monitors, blood glucose monitors, it's getting deeper. It's understanding the reasons why things are going the way they're going, rather than just trying to tackle something head on, not knowing what you're fighting against. Look, man, how many times have I seen people say, I'm training 5-6 times a week, I'm smashing it in the gym, my food is clean, I'm eating however many calories, and I'm just like, yeah, but your blood pressure's fucked. Like, your blood pressure's through the roof. So you going into the gym and smashing yourself to bits, smashing yourself on a leg press, a hack squat, doing deadlifts, do you really think that's the right thing for you to be doing right now? Like, do you think raising your blood pressure even further, increasing the size of your left ventricle even further is the best way to go? Or do we need to create a more rounded, well-balanced system so that your heart is actually working and functioning correctly? Because everything comes back to your aerobic base. If you haven't got an aerobic base, your mitochondria won't work properly. If your mitochondria don't work properly, and they're the energy powerhouse of every single living organism, if your mitochondria doesn't work properly, you don't burn fat and you don't burn carbs as fuel. So when I look at this and when I look at the blood pressure monitor, again, people look at it and think that might be a bit extreme. But you look at it and you think, well, this is data I can improve upon now. I can work on. Do you know what? You can increase your mitochondrial, the density, the amount of mitochondria your body has in 6 weeks if you just do cardiovascular work. If you just do very slow work, do like high rep sets, like anything from 50 and above up to 20. If you do that, you increase the amount of mitochondria your body has. The more mitochondria within your body, the more energy your body will utilize when you're doing your exercise, when you're doing your walking, when you're sitting there at rest. The more will actually be utilized, the more fat will actually be oxidized, broken down and used as fuel. But again, people don't want to do that. 6 weeks, like even if you did 3 weeks of that and set yourself up from an aerobic base and just did 3 weeks where you improve your blood pressure, improve your heart rate, improve your quality of sleep, improve your digestion, improve your motility. If you do that at the start of your plan, that will last for it's basically 2% reduction every week after that. So if you can do 3 weeks block of just cardiovascular work and high rep sets, after that, it's just a 2% reduction of your mitochondria. So you do like 24-week block of training, and then you spend another 3 weeks just doing that lower intensity cardiovascular work and the lower intensity higher rep sets. And we can keep circling that around and your body will completely change on the back of that. But it's fucking boring to do that. That 3 weeks, it's boring. There's no champions doing 45-minute, 90-minute cardio sessions. Nobody's posting that stuff on Instagram. Hey, look at me, look how cool I am. But that's the stuff that's health. That's your well-being. That's your ability to sustain results and keep them long-term. But again, I've spoken at length there. Give me some feedback, guys. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are right now after I've just said that. But I'll jump in as well if you want, man.
No, exactly. I can like agree with what you said because obviously, I've had a couple of clients come through that were in the mindset that they, were training when they were a lot younger, and they can go in and blast, a heavy weight session. But feedback that I had, a couple of weeks ago was one. I put somebody on aerobic exercise, and they've been on that for about 4 weeks now, and they've lost 2 kilos in weight just by doing that. Not only is he improving his health, he's lost weight at the same time. Another 2 to 3 weeks of that, with going weights, he'll be set up for his goals.
Yeah.
Which is perfect, which is what we're looking for. But it's that mindset people need to change, and I think social media is really bad for it because everybody sees, like Juggy says, it's all the kind of going and lifting heavy weights. It's not about how much you lift; it's about how you lift it and how your body's utilizing that as an energy source.
Yeah, and recovery, man. Because again, we talk about what a lot of people talk about: what they lift, they see the results. You see the 12-week transformations, but it's the recovery from the amount of shit that you've just put your body under after that 12 weeks, or after that lift, that you get the most benefit from. There's no point doing a 12-week transformation if you're not going to then follow up all the lifestyle changes that you've developed in that time. There's no point lifting 200 kg on a deadlift if you're not fueling the recovery process through sleep, through cardiovascular work, and actually having the system there to take away the lactate and actually flow the nutrients that your body needs towards the muscles that need to be repaired and to grow. All these different things that we talk about within this process. If we're not doing the basics well, what's the point? Like the basics, recovering. We talked about nutrition intake, and people have got very zoned in on calories, which is absolutely awesome. But how many people are, again, now looking at their blood pressure, looking at their heart rate monitors, looking at what their resting heart rate actually is? Guys, in fact, you can all do this for free on your phone. You can download, I think it's called Heart Rate Monitor for your Android or your Apple phone, and you just put your finger on the sensor, and it will tell you what your heart rate is right now at rest. Like I had a guy come in today, 24 years old, came in to see me to ask me, just a few bits and pieces around his long-term goal because he wants to compete next year. We did the same thing, got him on the blood pressure monitor. What do you think this 24-year-old lad's blood pressure was? He was in fairly decent shape. He was about, I think, 12% body fat. A lot of muscle on him. Looked pretty decent. What do you think his blood pressure was at rest?
Probably quite high, to be honest. Probably 140 mark.
Because I've set it up like that. But this guy, 165
wow.
over 99, which is fucking hypertensive, which is terrible, man. And this is a young lad, healthy, fit, been training hard, but he hasn't been looking after his aerobic balance. He's not been doing the cardiovascular work. He's never checked his blood pressure before. So what do you think is going to happen if I put him under 150 kg squat? What do you think happens there?
It's crazy. It's like you mentioned earlier, I think, where you could talking about the left ventricle. Yeah. It's also blood pressure is about the kind of the pressure that's put on the walls of your arteries. Yeah. At systolic and diastolic, sorry. And if you've already got high blood pressure and you go in and you're saying doing 150 kg deadlift or rack pull, the amount of pressure you're going to increase on your arteries, something's going to go pop sooner or later.
But then again, what happens when all this blood is being rushed through your veins, your arteries constantly? Then you start to get damage on the cell walls of each vein or vascular system will begin to get damaged. Then what happens? The body tries to repair that. That creates plaque. Then what happens? Plaque builds up over time. Then what happens? Most people eat more calcium than they do magnesium. So then what happens there? Increased atherosclerosis of the veins and the arteries. What happens there? Increased plaque. What happens there? Again, we don't want to talk about this shit that it's not fancy to talk about that. It's not cool to talk about this shit. But that's the route to cardiovascular disease. But people are doing this every single day. That lad's 24 years old. If he didn't come to see me today, he'd have been doing that for the next 5, 6, 7 years, smashing it hard until something happened. Like how many guys, I know guys my age, I'm 30 years old. I know guys my age that have died of heart attacks. And that's in Coventry. Like we all know some, these sad stories that occur. But that's people my age. Imagine putting another 10 years on that. Like, I know, Bal, you probably know people that have passed away in your social circles.
Yeah,
I know,
no, 100%.
yeah.
And I think saying that, the amount of times you hear it where it's like, oh, he was a like fit fat wonder,
Yeah.
as in he's always at the gym, he this, that, and the other. And
Yeah.
no one ever looks into it deeper. But actually, how you said it, that if someone had probably said to him, just go and have your blood pressure checked out, and it's like, someone's like, oh, what do I need to get my blood pressure checked out for? They'll check it out, and then again, it would just be exactly how you said.
Yeah.
Something where they're not taking it as seriously as what they should do. And again, you got atherosclerosis, you got heart attack, God knows, blood clot. Go on.
That's a bit more expensive, but blood pressure monitor, 25 quid on Amazon. Like this blood glucose monitor, I think it's like 15, 16 quid. This heart rate monitor is like, I think 35 quid I got this for, I picked it up for on a sale. Like this basic stuff is not, it's not just fancy, you know, gimmicks to figure out what's going, you know, okay, you're not losing weight, so here, let me put this on you and see what happens. It's like, this is the shit that your whole program, your lifestyle, your nutrition, everything you're doing towards your health should be based on. If you don't look at your health first, if you don't focus on your health first, how do you really expect to change your life? Like, if you start to monitor your heart rate and you start to do something about it and you change your lifestyle, you change your activity styles, your body weight will start to fall. Your body shape will change. The stress that you're putting on your body will decrease. You'll start to look younger because, again, your body will be clearing oxidants quicker because you've suddenly got a vascular system to actually deal with all this shit. So it's like, if you want to look younger and you want to look fitter and healthier, do the simple shit. Do the real simple shit. Get some heart health data, start tracking it every single morning. Then come to me and say, this is what I've got. This is the overview of my last 7 days. What do you think I should do? And then let me guide you into the right path. If you're coming to me and you're saying my blood pressure in the morning is something ridiculous, you know, and I would say anything over like 120, yeah, I'd say, can you talk? Let's figure that out. Because again, I'm not going to, I wouldn't allow myself to go and do maximal lifts if my heart rate wasn't in the right range. I wouldn't be looking to push my performance unless my health markers were in the right range. So I wouldn't tell a client to then go do something similar. The only time that I see a client get a little bit unhealthy and start to kind of go on the downward slope with their health is when they're 3-4 weeks out from a competition. Like Jag the Veggie Warrior. I don't know if you guys saw that. I posted his picture the other day, but he's been 3 to 4 weeks out of a competition. We start to see his health markers drop. So he's stressed out because he's not sleeping as much because his body needs fuel. It needs, you know, it actually needs satiety, but he can't have that because he's got in competition prep and he's right towards the end. So then his blood glucose in the morning started to go up and his sleep was nowhere near as good as it should have been. His stress levels started to go up, so his HRV started to crash. But I expected that to happen and I explained that to him early on. This is what's going to happen to you. But if you're looking for a general lifestyle change, you're looking to improve your body composition and you're not looking to get on stage, all of this other shit needs to be fixed first. You know, so again, Sonny, I know you came in late, man, but I was talking about all these different health markers and tools that are available. I've actually put them onto the membership site. So all you need to do, go and log in, go to the last section called Augment, go to the resources area, and all the links are in there, how to use the video, how to use the heart rate monitor, what apps to connect it up to. Like everything that you need to know is in the membership site. So like I said, start tracking this data, allow me to be more specific with the way that I'm helping you guys. Because at the end of the day, you're all within the LIA now. So I take your health and I'll take your progression very seriously. And if you really want to progress and you want me to give you the most expert help, or you want Bal to jump in and help, because Bal knows all this shit because we've been doing it with him and he's been doing it with his clients for the last, how long now, man? Like 2 years?
Yeah.
And again, we've seen the improvements with him. But it's because we dealt with all these health markers and these problems first before we just jumped into, here you go, try this bit of training or try that exercise or try this diet. Like, we need to know the basics. We need to know the details before we do that. But again, I feel like I've been talking a lot. I'm just going to end this call because I think it's going to finish soon. and then I'm going to put another link into the group for you all to jump back in on. Okay, I'll just be 1 sec. There we go.